The alarms screamed through the corridors of the alien embassy station. Red lights blinked violently, casting long shadows across the metallic walls. Smoke curled in the air, and the smell of burning circuits made the humans' eyes water. Jake Relon ran as fast as he could, his boots clanging on the metal floor, but the ground shook beneath him, making him stumble. Every step felt like the station itself was trying to throw him off. Ahead, the alien princess, Liara, floated in her protective suit. Her silver eyes were wide with fear as she tried to reach a control panel. Sparks flew from the walls near her, and the panels cracked under the pressure of the tremors. Jake's heart raced. He had trained for combat, for alien encounters, but nothing could prepare him for a station that seemed alive and ready to kill. "Princess!" he shouted over the roaring alarms. She looked back, panic in her eyes. "We need to move now." Liara nodded but hesitated. She had been trained to be calm in crises, yet something about the shaking floor, the falling debris, made her hesitate. Her hands hovered over the panel, trying to stabilize something he didn't understand. Jake knew time was short. The station's AI warned of a structural collapse, and if they didn't move, they would be trapped. A sudden blast of fire shot from a ruptured conduit. Liara froze, caught in the center of sparks. Jake didn't think. He dove forward, pushing her out of the way just as the metal floor beneath them cracked. The noise was deafening. Panels fell around them. Sparks rained like dangerous fireflies. Jake felt a searing heat and a sharp pain, but he kept his grip on Liara, pulling her to a safer corner. The ground trembled again, louder this time. He realized that his arms were pinned under a falling support beam. Pain shot through him, but he didn't stop. Every second mattered. Liara's hand touched his shoulder, trying to pull him, but he shook his head. "Go. Go now," he yelled. With one final surge of strength, he pushed Liara toward an escape lift. Her small hands clutched the railing as she floated upward. She looked back, fear and worry in her eyes. "Jake," she cried. The floor beneath him buckled. Metal tore and twisted like paper. Jake's body was slammed down, and he felt an unbearable pressure crushing his arms. His vision blurred. He knew he couldn't move them anymore. But he didn't scream. He couldn't. There was only one thought in his mind: she had to be safe. In that moment, everything slowed. The lights flickered and dimmed. The alarm scream became a distant roar. Jake could only hear his own heartbeat and the hissing of escaping air. Dust and smoke filled his lungs, but he breathed through it, steady and strong. He looked up to see Liara's small figure disappearing into the lift shaft. Relief flooded him, but it was mixed with pain. He had saved her, but the cost was his own body. He tried to lift himself, but his arms were gone, taken in the collapse. Panic threatened, but he pushed it aside. Pain was one thing, fear another. He refused to give in. The station's floor continued to break around him, and fire began to creep closer. He crawled as best as he could, using the strength left in his legs and torso. Every movement was agony, but the thought of Liara safe kept him moving. A faint light appeared ahead. The station's emergency pods were still online. Jake tried to drag himself forward, ignoring the pain. Sparks showered him, and a metal shard grazed his side, but he kept going. Finally he reached the pod. The door was sealed automatically, but a panel blinked red: manual override required. He reached with his remaining strength, pressing the button. The pod opened. Jake pulled himself inside, collapsing against the soft walls of the pod. He looked out the small viewport as the station began to crumble behind him. Metal twisted, sparks flew, and the floor cracked and fell into nothingness. The sight made him shiver, but he didn't regret it. Liara was alive. That was all that mattered. He tried to call her to check if she was safe, but his comlink was damaged. Only static came back. He clenched his jaw, forcing himself to breathe calmly. Pain was still there, sharp and constant, but he ignored it. The human spirit, he thought, could survive more than the body sometimes. As the pod launched away from the crumbling station, Jake felt himself slipping into darkness. Exhaustion pulled at him, and the pain made his eyelids heavy. But even as he drifted, he thought of her, the princess he had saved, the life he had risked everything for. Somewhere, in that moment, something in the station reacted to him. He did not know it, but ancient alien systems, hidden and long dormant, had registered his sacrifice. And in that instant, before he lost consciousness, he felt a strange warmth in his chest. Not like fire, not like blood, but something older, something alive. Something that would change him forever. His last thought before darkness claimed him was simple and human. He had saved a life, and in doing so, he had proved what humans could do when they acted not out of fear, but out of courage. Jake woke slowly. His eyes opened to a soft blue light. The room was quiet except for a low hum like machines working somewhere far away. He tried to move his arms but something was wrong. His hands weren't there. A panic rose in his chest but he forced himself to stay calm. He blinked and looked closer. What he saw made his heart stop. Where his arms had been, strong dragon-like claws now extended from his shoulders. They were large and sharp-looking but not cruel. They glowed faintly with a soft energy, like something alive under his skin. Jake flexed them carefully. The claws moved as if they belonged to him, and a strange warmth spread through his body. He didn't understand how this could happen. A small panel near his bed lit up. A holographic voice spoke, calm and neutral. Subject awake. Vital signs stable. Transformation complete. Jake frowned. What transformation? He croaked. His throat was dry. He tried to sit up, but the bed's restraints held him gently in place. The claws tapped on the soft surface, and he realized the power they contained. Moving them felt natural yet strange. The door slid open and Liara entered. Her silver eyes widened as she saw him. She floated closer, careful not to touch the claws. Jake? She said softly. It's real. He looked at her, confusion and fear battling in his chest. What happened to me? His voice was hoarse. Liara shook her head. I don't fully know. The embassy had hidden systems, old Guardian technology. It seems your sacrifice triggered it. They chose you. Jake's mind struggled to understand. Chosen? He had lost his arms saving her and now something impossible had happened. He flexed the claws again. They felt alive like they could sense his thoughts. A strange power pulsed through him, stronger than anything he had known. He wondered if he could hurt someone by accident. A medical droid entered quietly, scanning him. The display showed that his body had adapted to the transformation. Muscles and energy flows had been rewired. Jake swallowed hard. I have dragon claws? Yes, the droid replied, voice calm and mechanical. The transformation is stable. You will need training to control them. But your sacrifice has made you compatible with the system. It is rare. Jake's chest tightened. Rare or not, he felt different. He wasn't the same man who had run through the collapsing station. He looked at his reflection in the shiny wall panel. The glowing claws, the faint shimmer of energy, they made him look more powerful than human. More than human. But that didn't feel like a gift. Felt like a test. Liara moved closer, her hand hovering near his claws. Jake, I know this is shocking. But you saved my life. That choice triggered something ancient. Something older than we understand. Jake nodded slowly. His mind replayed the moment he had pushed her to safety. He remembered the fear, the pain, the fire, and the falling metal. That choice, pure, unselfish, had changed him. He realized that whatever he had become, it was tied to what humans could do when they acted with courage and care. A sudden alert flashed on the wall screen. Galactic Council approaching. Subject is unusual. Jake frowned. He had not thought about anyone else. Now he realized the galaxy might fear him. A human with dragon claws was something they had never seen before. He felt a mix of fear and determination. He would not be a weapon. He would not be a threat if he could help it. He had learned the value of protecting others. That was his strength. The medical droid handed him a training tool. It glowed softly, shaped to match the claw's energy. Jake flexed them, testing his control. At first they moved too fast, too powerful. Sparks jumped from the tips. But with focus he slowed them, guiding the energy carefully. He realized he could choose how to use them. They were not a curse if he controlled them. They were a tool like his human mind and heart. Liara watched silently. You are the first human they have chosen, she said quietly. And the first to survive the transformation. Others might fear you. But I do not. Jake looked at her. Her trust gave him courage. He realized that even in a galaxy filled with dangers, humans had something unique. Courage, sacrifice, and kindness. Things stronger than claws or machines. He had lost his arms, but he had gained a chance to prove humanity in a way he had never imagined. Outside the chamber, lights moved like tiny stars, showing the alien station far below. Jake flexed his claws again, feeling the energy surge through him, alive and ready. It was strange and frightening, but he felt ready. Not to fight, not to conquer, but to protect. He took a deep breath. For the first time since waking, he smiled slightly. He had survived the impossible. And now, something greater than himself had begun. Something that could change not only his life, but the galaxy's view of humans. He didn't know what would come next, but he knew one thing. He had the power, the strength, and the choice to use it wisely. And that alone made him something more than human, something that had not existed before. Days passed slowly in the quiet chamber. Jake spent most of the time training with his new claws. At first, every movement was uncertain. A flick of a claw sent sparks flying across the walls. A small push cracked the training table in half. He winced at the damage, realizing the sheer strength he now had. Fear crept in. If he could hurt machines so easily, what might happen to living beings? Liara visited often. She floated calmly, guiding him through each exercise. Focus on control, not strength, she advised. The claws are powerful, but they will only follow your mind. Your choice matters more than anything else. Jake nodded, swallowing hard. The words were simple, but they carried weight. He had always relied on courage and human skill, but this was different. Now, the claws responded to instinct and energy. He had to think, to slow himself, to decide how to move them. One wrong thought and the consequences could be terrible. He flexed and retracted the claws, testing their sensitivity. At first, they seemed almost alive, twitching unpredictably. Each movement sent pulses of energy through his arms, tingling from shoulders to chest. He realized the claws mirrored his emotions. Anger made them sharper, faster, harder to control. Calmness made them precise, smooth, exact. He had to master not only his body but himself. During one training session, a holographic target appeared in the chamber. Jake raised his claws ready to strike. Sparks shot from the tips, burning a small hole in the floor. He froze, heart racing. He could feel panic rising, the old fear of hurting others. But he closed his eyes and breathed. Slowly he lowered his claws and focused. When he opened his eyes again, he struck the target with precision. No damage beyond the hologram. Liara nodded with a small smile. That's the first time you truly controlled them, she said. It is not about power. It is about choice. You decide how to act. That is what makes a guardian, not a weapon. Jake looked at his reflection in the chamber wall. The glowing claws shimmered faintly, beautiful and dangerous. He realized that fear had been holding him back. Fear of the unknown, fear of the claws, fear of what others might think. But he could not live in fear. Humans, he remembered, were strongest when they acted with courage, with purpose, and with compassion. That was his lesson now. A sudden alert interrupted his thoughts. A small communications panel blinked red. The Galactic Council was requesting an immediate briefing. Jake tensed. He had expected fear, judgment, even threats. He swallowed hard, flexing the claws in thought. What should he show them? Strength? Mercy? Humanity? Liara floated closer. Do not let them make you into something you are not, she whispered. Show them what a human can do with courage and control. You are more than your claws. Remember that. When the meeting began, Jake floated into the council chamber on a human transporter pod. Representatives from dozens of species watched, curious and tense. Whispers traveled through the room. A human with dragon claws was an unprecedented sight. Some looked fearful, some suspicious. A council member, tall and armored in iridescent scales, stepped forward. You are dangerous. Your kind has never held such power. How can we trust you? Jake's claws glowed faintly, but he did not raise them. Instead, he lowered his head respectfully. I am here because I made a choice, he said, voice steady. I could have left the princess behind. I could have run. But I chose to protect life, not to destroy. My claws exist now because of that choice. They are not weapons unless I make them so. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some were skeptical. Others intrigued. Jake continued. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I am here to protect, to prove that humans act with courage and compassion even in the worst situations. My choice matters more than my strength. The council was silent for a moment. Then Liara stepped forward. He saved my life, she said calmly, and he controls what he has become. If anyone doubts humanity, look at him. He did not seek power. He chose mercy. Jake's claws pulsed with a gentle light. It was a symbol not of fear but of responsibility. He felt the energy flowing through him, responding to his calm focus. He realized he had passed the first true test, not of strength but of character. Later, alone in the chamber, Jake practiced again. This time he moved with purpose. The claws followed his mind perfectly. He could slice through holographic obstacles or lift heavy training equipment with ease. He realized that control was not just about skill, but about understanding himself. He had to remain calm, measured, and thoughtful. Every action, every decision mattered. He thought of the station collapse, the fire, the moment he had saved Liara. That choice had changed him, and now he had to live with it responsibly. It was not power that defined him, but courage, restraint, and the ability to choose the right path. As the sun, or what passed for light outside the chamber, filtered through the walls, Jake flexed his claws again. They were strange, otherworldly, and yet part of him. He smiled faintly. Fear could be mastered. Strength could be controlled. And choice was the real power. For the first time he felt ready. Ready to face the galaxy, ready to protect life, ready to prove that a human with courage could wield impossible power without letting it define them. The claws were a gift, a challenge, and a responsibility. And Jake was determined to rise to it. The council chamber was tense. Jake stood in the center, his dragon claws glowing faintly. Every eye in the room watched him. Some whispered, others stared openly, unsure whether to fear him or admire him. Outside the chamber, ships from dozens of species hovered silently, waiting for the council's decision. The galaxy was watching humanity now, and it had never been more exposed. A representative from the Trillian Alliance, a species known for strict laws and harsh judgment, stepped forward. "Human," it said, its voice sharp like scraping metal. "Your existence challenges all we know. You have taken alien technology into your own body. You wield power no human should have. How can we trust you?" Jake flexed his claws slowly, feeling the energy inside respond to his calm control. He did not raise them as a threat. Instead, he took a deep breath and spoke. "I am not here to be a weapon. I am here because I made a choice to protect life, not to destroy it. I could have run, I could have left the princess to die, but I chose courage. That choice made me what I am today." Murmurs rose in the chamber. Some species looked skeptical. Others looked thoughtful. The council was divided. Jake sensed that many feared what they did not understand, but he also sensed that some were willing to listen. The Trillian representative frowned. "Your words are meaningless if your power destroys us. We demand that you surrender yourself to the council for containment. Humanity cannot be allowed this level of influence." Liara floated forward, her presence calm but firm. "He saved my life," she said. "He controls the power he has been given. He is not a threat to anyone who does not threaten him. You ask him to surrender what he earned through courage and compassion. That is unjust." Jake felt a surge of energy, not anger, but determination. The council wanted to judge humanity through fear, but they had not seen what humans could truly do when they acted with bravery and heart. "I will not surrender," he said clearly. "Not because I defy you, but because surrendering would betray what humans are capable of. We protect life. We choose courage over fear. I will stand for what is right, even if the galaxy stands against me." The room went silent. The council had not expected a human to speak like this. Many were unprepared for such calm determination, backed by power that could destroy them if misused. But Jake did not threaten. He did not attack. He only stood firmly, showing that humanity's strength lay not in weapons, but in the will to do the right thing. Outside, council ships shifted uncomfortably. Some broadcast warnings to other systems. But Jake's calm presence seemed to ripple through the galaxy's consciousness. The energy in his claws was visible even to sensors, but it pulsed gently, showing control, not aggression. A young representative from the Leary sector, a peaceful species, spoke quietly. "Perhaps we have judged too quickly," it said. "We feared what we did not understand. But courage and mercy are not weaknesses. Perhaps humanity deserves a chance to prove itself." Jake nodded slowly, acknowledging the words. He understood now that standing alone did not mean standing without allies. It meant standing by what was right even when others doubted. His claws glowed slightly brighter, not as a weapon but as a sign of commitment. Liara touched his shoulder lightly. "You are showing them what humans can do," she whispered. "Not with weapons but with courage." Hours passed in debate. The council struggled to decide. Many species argued for containment, for fear, for the safety of the galaxy. Others spoke in favor of allowing humanity to act freely under observation. Jake remained calm, demonstrating through presence and restraint that his power was not a threat. Finally, a decision was made. The council agreed that Jake would not be confined, but humanity would be watched. The galaxy would observe what humans could do when given power and responsibility. It was a small victory, but it was significant. Humanity had not been crushed under fear. Humanity had not been forced to kneel. Jake exhaled slowly. Relief mixed with determination. This was only the beginning. The galaxy might fear humans, but fear could be changed through courage, through action, through proof that humans could wield power wisely. He looked at Liara. "We've shown them something today," he said quietly. "Something they may not forget." Liara nodded. "Yes. And it is only the start. Humans can be a force for hope, not destruction." Jake flexed his claws again, feeling the energy pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. He realized that true strength was not measured by fear or aggression, but by restraint, control, and the courage to stand alone when no one else would. Outside the chamber, ships began to disperse. The galaxy had seen the humans stand tall, unshaken, refusing to bow to fear. The legend of a human with dragon claws who chose mercy over power had begun. Jake sat quietly afterward, thinking about the station collapse, the moment he had saved Liara and the Council's judgment. He understood that humanity's true power was not in technology or weapons, but in choice. Courage and compassion could stand alone against fear. That was what would change the galaxy. As night fell across the observation windows, Jake flexed his claws gently. The glow of energy reminded him that power was nothing without control, and choice was the most human quality of all. For now humanity stood alone, but it stood with honor, courage, and hope, a lesson that the galaxy would not forget. The galaxy was not quiet for long. Reports came from systems near the human colonies, pirate raids, rogue fleets, and ancient machines awakened by careless explorers. Many species panicked at the thought of Jake's power, believing a human with dragon claws could become a weapon. But Jake did not seek war. He sought to protect life. The princess, Liara, stood beside him as they prepared to leave the observation station. Her calm presence reminded him of why he had chosen to fight for others before, even when he had no arms. Now, with claws, he was stronger than ever. Yet strength was meaningless if he did not use it wisely. A distress signal came from a mining station on the edge of the Rillian belt. An automated defense system had malfunctioned, trapping hundreds of miners inside. Ships from nearby colonies could not respond in time. Jake's claws pulsed faintly as he listened. He didn't hesitate. "We go now," he said quietly. Liara nodded, trusting him completely. When they arrived, the scene was chaos. Smoke rose from damaged corridors. Machines moved unpredictably, slamming walls and doors. Miners screamed, trapped behind collapsing metal. Jake moved forward carefully. His claws extended, glowing softly. Each step was precise, controlled. The energy within him responded to his intent. He could crush metal, but he chose to lift it, to open paths, to clear debris. Every action was deliberate. One of the miners, a small human boy, was trapped beneath a heavy beam. Jake crouched, placing his clawed hands gently under the metal. Sparks flew, but he applied only the pressure needed. With a careful lift, the beam moved enough for the boy to crawl free. The child looked up at him with wide eyes. "You saved me," he exclaimed. Jake smiled faintly, though inside he felt the weight of responsibility. This was why he had to control his strength. Mercy mattered more than power. Liara guided the others to safety while Jake worked through the station. Machines that could have been dangerous were redirected or disabled with precision. At no point did he strike anything in anger. He realized that every choice reinforced what humans could offer the galaxy: protection, courage, and restraint. Word of his actions spread quickly. The Galactic Council had observers monitoring him, expecting fear, chaos, or destruction. Instead, they saw calm, methodical rescue. A human with claws could have been terrifying, but he became a symbol of hope. Every life he saved, every machine he tamed, demonstrated that humanity's strength was not in aggression, but in responsibility. Later, outside the station, Jake and Liara watched the miners leave safely. Ships from other systems hovered nearby, their crews observing silently. Some still feared him, but others whispered among themselves. This human, this guardian, was different. He had chosen mercy when he could have chosen fear or power. That choice was what made him truly strong. Jake flexed his claws, letting the energy pulse gently. They glowed faintly, a reminder that the power inside him was alive, but not uncontrollable. He could feel every movement, every intention, and he understood that control was not only physical but moral. He had the ability to destroy, but he chose protection. He had the power to dominate, but he chose restraint. That was humanity at its best. Liara floated closer, her silver eyes reflecting pride and relief. "You've shown them," she said softly. "Not through fear but through courage. Not through power but through mercy." Jake nodded. He understood now what he had become. He was not a weapon. He was a guardian. One who chose life, safety, and hope over anger, destruction, or fear. The galaxy would remember this. Humans would be known not for their technology alone, but for the heart that guided it. The next days were filled with observation missions. Jake traveled from system to system, intervening where lives were at risk. Each time he used his claws carefully, always with control, always with purpose. The council members who had doubted him began to change their minds. They saw that humanity's power was unique because it came with choice. Courage without cruelty. Strength without recklessness. Mercy over fear. On a quiet evening, Jake sat with Liara on the observation deck of their ship. Stars stretched endlessly across the sky. The energy in his claws pulsed softly like a heartbeat. He had saved lives, faced judgment, and proved that humans could wield great power without losing their humanity. Liara looked at him. You've become a symbol, Jake. Not just for humans but for the galaxy. Others will follow your example. Jake smiled faintly. I only did what I had to. That's what humans do. We protect. We act. We choose. That is the real power. The galaxy had watched a human who could have been feared, but instead chose mercy. They had seen that the greatest strength came from courage guided by wisdom. Jake had transformed not just in body but in what he represented. He was the guardian who chose life over fear, kindness over destruction, and mercy over rage. As their ship moved through the stars, Jake flexed his claws one last time. The glow was gentle, steady, controlled. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do when it acted with courage, when it acted with heart. And Jake, a human with dragon claws, had shown them all that mercy could be stronger than any weapon.